Well, kia ora and welcome to the Dog and Pony Show with your hosts Monique Bradley and Pete Ward. Kia ora, Pete.
Kia ora, Monique.
So I know there's a lot of people who, when we've talked about this podcast, which we started doing actually during COVID originally, people wonder why we called it the Dog and Pony Show. Do you want to share your insights into how it all happened?
Yes, well, back in the day, a long, long time ago, the travelling circus would come to town, of course, and one of those acts in the circus was a pony running around the ring with the dog on its back. Sounds pretty boring now, but I bet you in those days you didn't see a dog balancing on the back of a pony very often. In fact, you probably never saw a circus very often. So I guess it was a really big deal. So they would have advertised it going, come and see the circus and see the dog and pony show.
And I think the simple act of its ridiculousness created a lot of attraction to people wanting to come in. It just sounds bizarre.
Absolutely. So it's a big marketing ploy of coming to see the dog and pony show. So one of us is the dog and one of us is the pony, and somebody's riding somebody, but we don't know. We don't know who.
Too much information.
Woof woof nay nay.
Well, I think as we were talking about this and what we wanted this podcast to be for others as well, we kind of surmised a couple of things around who was who. I am quite clearly, because I have a background in performing arts and film and theatre and being a performer, I would like to think I'm the prancing pony, Pete.
I would probably put my tick on that vote if you were going for mayor.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's prancing pony. I think that's
And Pete, because you're a bit of a champion for change as well. You are the living embodiment of the fact that, and I don't mean this in an ageist sense, but old dogs can learn new tricks, perhaps.
I would say that's very much it. It's there's no excuse. You can't just shut up shop one day and go, that's it, I'm too old to learn something new. So you've got to keep going. So in that way, I'm a little bit of an old dog. Yeah.
And your journey into a professional career, you came out, for people who have never met you before, you came out of school with no qualifications, right? And you actually retrained as an adult. Tell us about that.
Okay. Yes, it's exactly what happened. Around about age 27, I was playing around with the computers, trying to get some sound cards working, and I went to the shop where I bought them and I said, hey, I'm doing this thing, it's not working, can you help me? And he rebooted it a couple of times and decided it wouldn't work with that one, so he sold me a more expensive one. And I went, hey, I could do this for a job. And I said, is that all you do? And he says, yeah, you just got to know how the computers work. And I went, well, I'm learning how computers work. So the very next day I found the last day of an ad was a Friday for the local Wairiki Polytech down in Rotorua, was doing its computer course, which basically Friday cut off to get into the course, started on Monday. So I applied and they went, do you know what a batch file is? And I went, yes. And I quickly ran home and searched, tried to figure out what a batch file was. No internet in those days.
Oh, of course, of course.
Not personally sitting there. So I think by then I had dial-up. So I guess I jumped on and went, what's a batch file?
Wow. And was it one of those moments where the timing was kind of bizarrely synchronous?
You can't make it up, Monique. You actually can't. It was just that moment in time that I don't know how many people have it happen and how often, but there's been several times in my life where there's been a moment which has completely altered the trajectory of my life or where I was going. And you can't see it until it happens. And when it happens, you just have to I find I just have to stand there in awe and go, wow, did that just happen?
Wow.
Where did that come from? How did I end up here? Why am I now completely on a different path than yesterday? And I couldn't even see this path. It's not like I'm sitting there going, oh, I wonder if I should do something different tomorrow. I wonder if there's something better I could be doing or something different I could be doing. I wonder, maybe I should run away and join the circus. You don't necessarily sit there, but bam, that moment happens, and suddenly I'm just standing there, and I went, yep, I'm going to train, go and do this computer training, and of course I did, and just completely changed everything. So that was So that's called a second chance learner, where you do get a second chance to get some new qualifications and a bit of paper that you can put on your CV, and you can prove that you've upped yourself, you've done something about it, all of that stuff about getting qualifications, the good stuff. It almost doesn't matter what qualifications as long as you get them.
Yeah.
I don't have a degree or anything like that, but what I did get out of those qualifications was that I just really did discover a absolute passion and love for computers and computing and things like that. Whereas, and this is such a cliche, but there's that old nugget or that chestnut of do something you love and you never work again a day in your life. That was it. It never felt like work.
And it's interesting.
Felt like play.
And that's what I love. That's what I love. Theatre and performing and emceeing feels like play for me. So I totally resonate with that. And I'm sure the entrepreneurs listening to that will now be questioning, oh God, what in my life feels like play, and why does this feel so hard? Because the entrepreneurial journey is damn hard.
It is.
So
that's
again,
an interesting point too that we'll come back to at some stage, I suppose, won't we?
About, we're going to be talking about strengths and weaknesses and all sorts through these shows.
Sometimes what's your thoughts on sometimes how do you know when the door is actually shut and locked and you're just banging your head on it?
Oh, that's a good one.
Or whether it's just about to open, and if you bang it one more time, you're through and you've got where you want to go. Yeah. That's a good one, eh?
That's a great one.
Put that into a whole new podcast, I suppose.
Absolutely. Yep. I want to stay on track with this concept of change, because I know this is what you are the champion for. I have seen you in real life in action working with clients, like changing their paradigms and their mindsets about their own business, about the way they perceive themselves. It's something I'm super passionate about as well. You in particular, though, have had several life changes. So you went from the second chance learner, gaining a qualification, you discovered the way your brain works, how your brain works like a computer. So I'm doing all this, the plot spoilers right now, but
yes.
it is an amazing journey. Then you ended up, it just so happened you ended up working in an educational system, helping others learn the same. But you tell us about that next step,
okay,
and your change.
Yes, you're correct. I did. After my training finished, I straight away started my work experience in a primary school. So I was the network technician, networking the computers together. They were just running email out for the first time ever to these teachers. That was a big deal for them. These are in the days that if the icon accidentally disappeared off the desktop, they thought they'd broken the computer.
Oh, yeah.
So
with the paperclip in the corner, that was an animation.
Yeah,
yep.
Clippy. Yeah. Started in the educational side, and as I progressed from there, I did start up my own support company or business, specifically targeting schools. So I got into that side of it all, into the education. At one stage, I think I had about at least over a third of the schools being supported by me, and
wow.
The other guy in town, he did kind of the other 2/3 along with the main company that kind of was behind it all, and I ended up working for that company as well. I want to jump in there. Yep.
Really interesting point that you've already said. Again, another tip for entrepreneurs: the importance of knowing your niche, knowing your target market, because you clearly identified that schools had a need for your service and expertise. So just that's a little tweetable moment, know your niche. Because as entrepreneurs, we can often be generalists, or we're all over the place with our creative ideas. But knowing that niche, knowing that place that you can help a particular demographic or group is key critical to success.
Yeah.
Okay, back to your story too.
Very good point, because I did specifically enjoy and appreciated the education side of it all, and when I still do, and I love educating business owners as well. I love that moment. I didn't realize I loved that moment as much as when it happens. I know that I'm right in my happy place when I see business owners have that moment when they all go, and they get it. And I love that. So, yeah, that drives me, actually. That's one of the things that keeps me doing what I'm doing, whatever it is I'm doing. But it just keeps me going because I see these people. I'm privileged to be there in that moment where people have those aha moments, and you can't get better than that, in my opinion. What was the question?
Your next stage in your career. So you started off with a third of the schools.
Yep. So through that company, the business development manager or BDM of that company actually moved across to a tertiary institute. He was friends with one of the guys there, and he was sitting in the graduation for the computing division, and there was something like 14 people graduating, and the CEO turned around to him and said, "You're a computer guy, aren't you?" And he goes, "Yeah," not knowing where it's going. He said, "Well, this is pathetic. Get me a computer course. I want 1,000 people on it."
Wow.
And he was like, "Yep, okay." And then he came back to see me and he said, "I need a course with 1,000 people on it. What are you doing?"
Wow.
And I went, well, I could be
Setting
interested
up a
in
course.
that. Yeah, not quite yet, not quite.
Yeah.
And so I was like, he said, "Right, we're going to do this course. We're going to roll it out in 3 different centres. It was Tauranga, Katikati and Rotorua. And it's going to be 8 different sites, and we're going to take over the computer suites of the high school or even primary schools if we had to, but mostly we're targeting high schools because they have the right level of gear usually, and we're going to take them over and we're going to use the computer suite at night because nobody's using it. So the schools we're going to pay the schools to do it, to use their suite. It's going to work for the community because the community can come in from around and they can see the school using the computer suite. It's good for them. The money that school gets for it goes into the IT for their kids, all that sort of stuff, the students. All of these good things, quite no-brainer really. And he said, "I need you to provide computer support. I need a technician because, the first thing, the printer's going to jam and the tutor's not going to be able to sit there and figure out how to unjam the printer, or maybe it just doesn't connect today. Maybe the internet's not working today. The tutor's there to teach the class, basically adult students again. So essentially where you were going with it, I remember now, is that was my chance to pay it forward again to all the other second chance learners in the community. So my course that I rolled out and eventually got to 47 sites across the North Island.
By jingoes.
We put over 12,000 adult students through that course.
It's remarkable.
And they all, got their certificate, got their bit of paper. And I would assume through feedback that a lot of lives got changed. Through
and
that,
of course, communities.
It was communities, schools. We even got to the point where we were putting computers into the schools because they didn't have it. They didn't have internet. We put in internet, that kind of thing. It's amazing. So at one stage, in one particular school, there was a primary school actually, and the daughter was learning using the computers at school. The mother was on our course, and the grandfather was on our course.
Wow.
So,
can you imagine? I don't know if you can, but I can imagine the impact of 3 generations with a qualification who may never have had a chance to get that before.
May never have. They absolutely would never have. That was just impossible.
That's remarkable.
So it definitely did. So that's the impact of that. But where I got to, just to back the story up slightly, is he needed the computer support, and I, based on his project scope, literally would have to service all of those areas, it would have worked out to be about $1 million a year.
By jingos.
Because I had to have a technician on call in 3 different towns.
Yes.
Willing to be able to drive anywhere within 20 minutes of getting a call saying such and such is not working.
Yeah.
So, doing all of that stuff, doing the numbers and thinking about the growth. And there was a few choice words spoken about the fact that he wouldn't be going ahead with that. and this is another one of those moments. In that moment, I said, well, how about you employ me to do it then? And he went, what? I said, give me the job and I'll come and do it for you as the project. And he went, okay, done. Get in the car. Tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, we're going to head office. Yeah. So 7 o'clock, and that's why I was talking about those moments in time. So here I am, I've got my little business, I'm supporting these schools and everything, and then literally in one moment in time, I went from that risk. And went, bam, now I'm doing something, although it's similar, it was completely different. Like, bam. So I end up in tertiary education as an employee now, drove into head office, signed me up a salary, gave me a phone, and I had my own phone. That's right. We just put the number onto. They paid for it, and now suddenly I'm working in tertiary, rolling out the virtual learning centre. For a major organisation, a major educational organisation. Yeah. Now that wasn't. I can name them. I don't mind.
Oh, you're allowed to?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Te Wānanga o Aotearoa.
Which, for those of you who don't know, is the Māori University here in New Zealand.
In New Zealand. At that stage, it was in very big growth mode, and they went from something like 20,000 students to 65,000 students in the course of 2 years.
Jeez.
And we were part of that. Obviously, growing the virtual learning centre. So we were the VLC, and we were based in Rotorua at that stage, and we rolled out these first 8, and they worked. And so we, like I said, we rolled out 47 of them in total, right across the North Island. So
that's a huge undertaking. And what I want to, what you and I with We Do Famous, which is our business that we co-created, which is sort of, I guess, producing this podcast as well. Yep. We're both serial entrepreneurs. We both love creative stuff and we love people and that sort of thing. What I want to get to with this is this whole concept of change for you, because that's what you really want to help educate people on. But the fact that education is great, but you moved into a next evolution just within that organisation into a forward-facing sales role. So your career evolved numerous times in a very short period of time, from training through to implementing a system, building the platform, building the sites, physically doing all those builds, doing all the numbers, and then actually taking it to market and basically recruiting 12,000 students to that program. And that was you in that sales role. So that's where you grew your own team at that stage, and you were having to do the hands-on recruitment, the sales drive to do that.
Yes.
Tell us about that transition, because you've always said to me, you're unique in the fact that you've always had one foot in the server room and one foot in the boardroom. Those are very different parts of the brain and very different skill sets. So tell me how you tackled that next evolution.
Very good point. When I use that comment, what I'm basically meaning is that I understand the technical details of getting a job done, but I also understand the business risk involved with getting that job done, or the business process involved in it. So I'm not a 100% true geek who wants to hide away in the server room and doesn't want to talk to people and just wants to,
code all day
and all that sort of stuff, or network up this and that. So I've got enough of the appreciation of that. I can then put on a suit and tie, and I don't mind putting on a suit and tie if it's needed, to go and sit with a CEO or a principal or someone at that level, or the CIO or the chief financial officer, even, to be able to justify what is actually going on and why the technical side, and I can basically explain it to the business side, what the technical side means or needs, and why they need to be supported from the financial or the business side, because often, everyone knows Dilbert, and often the pointy-head boss just barks orders and says, I'm cutting your budget because blah, 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 and where's your project and why is it overdue? And the Dilbert's going, well, you cut our budget and we haven't got the resources we need. Why can't you understand? We can't do our job. You get those two factions, so I can sit between them and go, well, actually, I can explain to the business side why the technical stuff has to be done this way and why it's important to follow that. And, ordering in a second fibre connection is crucial, as an example, for this project, or maybe it's not, and it's like they just want to, another fibre channel so that they can download illegal movies,
Oh, goodness.
whatever, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
I do.
because I can do that, I can sit on both sides, and so I can talk to the technical people, and because I have been in that position of being the technical person, and then I can sit in the business, sit with the business hat on and understand that second fibre line, as an example, might not necessarily actually be needed at this particular point in time, but it might be phase 2 of the growth of the project,
Gotcha.
anything like that. So, and to be able to actually explain that to the financial people who are paying the bill at the end of the day and taking the risk.
Yeah.
Because there's risk on both sides for different things. There's risk if the technical doesn't work, but there's risk if the business doesn't work because they've spent all their money on technology that doesn't work, so it goes round and round in circles.
So it's the understanding of the linear system and the processes associated with your computer-like mind, which understands the complexities of building a digital product, because that's effectively what you did, and a physical sites or bricks and mortar sites effectively as well. But then you can discuss that with key stakeholders around the case, the project, the case study, all of that information. So it's kind of demystifying all of that stuff that a lot of people who aren't technical shy away from. It's the same as talking to your accountant. Most people don't want to talk to your accountant, right? Because they just don't understand. Really common, I'm hearing from entrepreneurs all the time, they won't go near numbers, they won't go near tech because they are literally too scared. So as the champion for change, Pete, of change, for change, both of them really, of change,
definitely.
What would be your advice to those people?
Well, and I know once again it's an old chestnut that I'm just going to drag out and put right squarely in the middle, and you've got that definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And what I would say to those people who are afraid of numbers or afraid of the technology or afraid of letting go of their one big idea is that you've just got to be honest and front up to yourself and go, is this working or is this not working because of me?
Wow.
Because as an entrepreneur, it's really easy to just look at all of the other people involved or the other things around you. Oh, if I just had a new laptop, I could work faster. And if I just had, I need to upgrade my phone or, whatever. There's always things that you can do and get around. And another one that's interesting, of course, is somebody's really, really good and they've created 2 or 3 products and they need sales, but they're not happening as fast as they need them. So they go and create another whole new product.
Insanity.
It's insanity. You're still just doing the same thing, but you're expecting different results. So I guess that's what I would say to them is actually just be honest, stop, take stock and just look at it, and I know it's getting into classic marketing speak. You got your 5 Ps, your price and position, et cetera, but seriously, if your stuff isn't selling, one of those is wrong. Or more, if you're not being, like I said before, if you're banging your head on the door, is it really actually the wrong door? And unless you're actually honest enough to ask these questions, and I don't mean just kind of once a year at a retreat. I mean every week, maybe have a check-in and go, what's going on this week? We've done that before.
We do it all the time.
You get a standard form that you can talk yourself through it. You don't have to don't necessarily have to be with somebody else, or you don't necessarily have to talk to your accountant. But if you're sitting there and you fill the form in and go, right, what is working for me this week? Where can I be focused on? What didn't work for me this week? Can I change any of that? Am I the one who's holding myself back by just thinking I've got the best product or I've got the best idea ever? And then another one is actually, I think there's a lack of understanding about pestle, which is all of your environment, and that's a whole new, probably a whole new podcast.
People do a SWOT analysis, and they get told by coaches, "Oh, you need to do a SWOT analysis."
Yeah, they get that far, but they don't do.
But pestle is next level.
Yeah,
and we're going to be diving into that.
Absolutely. And the thing is, is there something coming that you haven't seen because you're so focused on what you're doing in your day-to-day things that you don't sit back and go, I wonder what changes are coming in the marketplace. What's the government going to change?
What's going to be the risk on
the
your business?
Yeah, what's all of that stuff? And we're going to have employment hard times, whatever. Is the minimum wage going up sometime soon? What is the OCR rate doing this week, and how is that affecting imports? And can I actually get my products in and out of the market? Is it going to cost me 5 times as much to get my goods in from China than it did this time a year ago? Can I get it on a train and get it down to the South Island and into the stores on time for Christmas?
Yeah.
Or do I need to, is it going to cost me 5 times the amount to get a truck to drive it down to get it into the stores by Christmas? So
a lot of that risk stuff, I think, people don't think about. They think the entrepreneurs I talk to, the entrepreneurs we coach, have that mindset of, I've created something great. I've created a great product. I've written a great book. I've got a great business that everyone's going to want, a great service, whatever. And they forget to always be aware of what could happen. And I mean that in in duality, and the fact that what could happen from a risk perspective, I don't want to say a negative perspective, but also what could happen from an optimist perspective, because I am by nature an optimist. I tend not to think so much risk. I'm risk, kind of like risk, I'll just give it a try.
It's there somewhere, but
it is.
I can't see it.
It's about 1%
get
of my...
behind me.
Yeah,
risk.
it's about 1% of my conscious thought, I think, when I'm doing anything creative. But I am becoming, I think as I'm getting older, I'm becoming more acutely aware of potential risks. And especially because in our business, I focus more on the communication side. So that's where I am very aware of risk. But coming back to entrepreneurs, most potentially don't consider, if they're a startup, as an example, the potential risk of, is this going to grow in the next year? How long is this going to take? How much money am I going to have to front up with to launch? And am I going to get that return?
Yeah, or how long can I last before I get the return?
Yes.
And
that's a really big one.
Yeah, like I said, just stop being insane, do it differently.
Yeah.
If it's not working, do something different to get the different results.
Yeah.
Even if you change one thing at a time and do it slightly different.
Yeah.
Like I said, start a weekly accountability call on yourself, and start going, okay, what was I doing that's not working? What can I do differently? Even if it's going for coffee in a different place and having a meeting with somebody different, at a different time, just to break up. Because if you always do the same thing, every day, get up and go blah blah blah, follow the routine. It's like just change one thing, and see and just start looking for the different results that are coming from that change, to see whether it backs up, did it help or did it make it worse? But you only know whether it's different if you actually do it different, So even if it did make it worse, you can quickly go, well, that made it worse. At least I'm alive. At least I noticed. At least.
And what am I going to do next? What's my next best step?
Yeah, that's right. And you're talking about good things happening as well. Pestle can be really good because I've got a great example is when the government changed the law around how long you had to have your kids in a booster seat.
Oh, right.
So immediately, I think it went from 5 years old to 7 years. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone can correct me. I'm just vaguely remembering it. All of my kids were past that stage by then, so I didn't have to do anything about it. But immediately, everyone who'd got rid of their booster seat for their 5.5-year-old had to run out and buy a new booster seat.
Oh, wow.
Well, so if I was a booster seat owning business,
you would have caned it.
Caned it, absolutely. And if I had seen that coming, I would have got into a booster seat selling business and put booster seats, free shipping anywhere in New Zealand, because you're about to get thousands and thousands of parents go, oh no, now I've got to go and get a booster seat. Where do I get one of those from?
Such a good point.
Boosterseats.com, whatever.
You need to own the domain name.
So that's a great example of pestle working in someone's favour.
Now, for somebody who doesn't understand the term pestle, because we'll be diving into lots of these acronyms over the podcast, so that entrepreneurs who may be new to promoting their businesses or still developing their businesses, or who have to become accidental marketers like we are, they understand what that term is, because it is quite a traditional business building term or a marketing term. You need to do a pestle analysis. And I know, Pete, you talk about this a lot. So for anybody who doesn't understand what pestle stands for, can you remember each of the words that it stands for? I know it's like political.
Yes.
And it's basically looking at the risk. So it's the political risk.
Let's go through without trying to Google it. Let's go through and try to make this happen. So political,
environmental, S.
Social,
yep, okay. PEST. I want to say like transport or tsunami, because they're the only T words.
Tsunami. Yep, no, it's not that.
PEST. Let's just zoom past that one. L something and then E. Oh, here's the homework for the listeners. Google it, because it is the takeaway from that part of the discussion is really be aware of what is coming up that could potentially affect you and affect your business. And I know we've kind of gone around and about sorts of things, but the real key thing that I wanted to get through today is part of Pete's story, which is about being this champion of change. And not holding on to that one rock in the river, which was your one good idea, and being okay with that. And that sometimes, because we're serial entrepreneurs, as I said early on, we've had to learn this. We've been serial evolvers. I've had many a business. I've been a children's entertainer and magician. I've been a professional singer. I've been a professional actor, still am, an MC. And then I've worked in TV shopping as a presenter. And now we do a lot of coaching and mentoring and teaching people about basically stepping up and learning those tools to get themselves out there. It's one of the things we do. And we've both had big sales careers too, which is where I was going with the Wānanga story.
Absolutely.
So to tidy all of this up, you went from change to change to change. And at the end of your journey with the Wānanga, it was really that forward-facing sales role. What do you think? Because sales is a huge part of business. And I always get so annoyed that when a company goes into crisis, the first people to go are often either their marketing people or their sales team. I mean, come on. Those are the people out there doing the hustle, getting your brand known and trying to attract those sales in for you. So tell me about how you managed to recruit 12,000 students. What was the secret to your success?
It's very simple. And I've actually got a nice little tool that I use, which I call my 5 R's, which is the right message in the right content to the right people on the right platform at the right time.
Oh.
So, and what I mean by that is we just got the product right. We got the timing right. We basically came up with this concept that you got a free computer when you joined the course.
Wow.
And so and also the course was free. So it's a free course.
It's an unbeatable offer.
And the school got paid.
By jingles.
And you got your qualification. And
Sign
so
me
it was
up.
it was just that easy. We positioned it so perfectly.
Yeah.
Like just bam. It was just, half of it was, people wanted to get a free qualification. The other half just wanted a free computer, and they got the free computer. Oh, and then we gave them free internet as well.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot to tell you that.
And
Yeah,
that was all funded.
It's basically all funded through the government system of how every single university is funded at the moment. You get it's called an effective full-time student, or an EFTS from the government. There's a certain course gets funded through, I don't know if it's still through the Tertiary Education Commission, TEC, I guess it is. So they pay university or a polytech based on the rate for that course. So ours was a full left course, so we got a certain amount of money per student that we enrolled. So all we have to do is get enough students to fill a class. That means, so I had a spreadsheet that basically, so you needed 20 students a night, 4 nights a week, and so that's 80 students paid for a full-time tutor, paid the school, bought the computer, paid for the internet, and there was 20% profit left over.
So that's how all these courses are now. And this was what year was this?
2003-ish, I think it was.
Gosh, so you were well ahead of the game.
We were the first fees-free course to ever happen.
And now we see it everywhere.
All we've done is just everyone's gone back to the numbers and worked out how to make it all fit. And you get some really highly profitable courses, so you take the profit from that and you dump it in the ones that are going to lose you money, and it all evens out somewhere. But you can see it's not as easy as that, because otherwise the polytechs wouldn't be in trouble all the time.
Oh, right.
So, but clearly we got it right. We got it absolutely bang on for that time period, for the way that the government worked and funded things at that particular time. It's changed a little bit now, but yeah, in those days. So basically, I set up by the last iteration of it. I set up a centre in the middle of Auckland, and it's on Queen Street actually, and people would find out about what we told a lot of people. We went through the workforce and we worked with unions, and of course they want to help upskill their people as well. So we went through them, we marketed it through them. They all found out about it and came in to sign up, and they'd come in, do a pre-test to make sure that they had a little bit of nous, could tie their own shoelaces and stuff, but once they'd done the pre-test, then we got them fill in all of the form and everything like that, and then essentially that was the sales job going there. It was kind of like they were 3/4 of the way down the funnel. All we had to do was get them signed on the dotted line.
Wow.
And of course they wouldn't have come in if they weren't already interested. So whatever we'd done to get them to that stage.
To get the message out there.
Yeah.
So by the time they got to you and your job was to get them through and get them signed up, what would you say your sales success rate was?
I would say, I guess 100%.
By jingos.
That's how on the hook they were.
Yeah.
But
we all know, and we'll be discussing this more in other episodes, getting people to that stage of they walk in, they know what they're signing up for, and they're just ready to sign their lives away, regardless of the industry even. There's a huge nurture sequence that's required to make that happen, whether it's through word of mouth referrals, whether it's through online advertising, as an example, social media posting. I'm talking in the context of now, free video content that's available that helps promote the value of what you do. Podcasts like this, where we want to give away thoughts and ideas and strategies to help people, so that if they need help, we'll be the first in mind. They'll come to us and they'll want to book for, mentoring, coaching, or to sign up to our academy, as an example. That's a massive effort, and well done to you. That's a huge success, Pete.
Yeah. I think as a good example, anyone walking onto a car lot nowadays has already decided they're buying a Ford, or they're buying a Peugeot, or they're buying a whatever.
Yeah.
Because they're not they're not there to go, I wonder if I like Fords.
Oh, I might look at cars today.
Yeah. They already know they want that. And in my opinion, when it gets to that point, what they're really doing is sussing out the salesperson to see whether they like them and trust them. Because they know they want the car, but they want a really good experience with another human being to interact to confirm to them that they really are making the right decision. That's all. So when those people got to sitting on the computer, it was just my job to make sure that they felt welcome, sat down, felt relaxed, didn't feel stressed about the pre-test, had all the documentation, they had an easy time. They clearly liked and trusted me, and they signed up.
Wow.
And they're never going to see me again, but they didn't want some abrasive,
pushy person.
That kind of thing. So there's a lot more about, people buy from people. Let's just get down to that one. Another
That's
good
a
old
great one. So many moments today,
I know.
Pete.
People actually do buy from people. They're not buying a thing. They're buying something from a person. Yeah. Anyway, so that was.
What a story and what a journey of change, of transformation. And, if this is, for anybody listening, if this is resonating with you, if you're sitting here going, why is my business not working? If you're sitting here going, what's wrong with me? Or why does it feel like my business is stunted, not growing, as an example? So you've already sort of launched your startup, but you're not seeing, you've been in it maybe 6 months or a year and you're not seeing any returns, you're not seeing any sales, you're not seeing any digital growth as another good metric to always look at. It's your opportunity to sit here and listen and go, why? Is it me? Is it my product? Is it all the other P's?
The positioning. The price.
Yep. All of those things to consider. And it is worth starting your own journey of change and transformation now by, I'm not going to tell you what to do, anybody who's listening, but one of the things that has worked really well for both Pete and I is to do that audit, to have a good hard chat with yourself. And if you sign up to our mailing list as well, I will actually send you the exact templates that we use every week, the questions we ask each other every week when we do our business audit. So every Monday morning we endeavour to have a coffee together and talk about where are we at, what do we want to achieve, did we achieve what we set out to achieve the previous week, all those big questions. And then a monthly template where you get to reflect on those bigger questions. What has worked? What hasn't worked? What was a challenge? What felt like play? Those bigger questions. But you need to sign up to our mailing list, which you can do through our website, wedofamous.com. Happy to send those to you because that really gives you a good base position to start from. Start with the data. The data doesn't lie, whether it's your numbers, whether it's how you feel. That emotional data, I think, is a great navigator that often we put aside. Tap into that too.
Yeah, I think we definitely get up and do what we feel we should most of the time.
Often, yep.
Especially if, I've just got to drive through, I've just got to break through, I've just got to get some sales, I've just got to get out there and hustle. And so often we joke about feeling like we're sharks that can't stop swimming or will drown. But sometimes you actually need to stop and have a bit of a rest
and reflect
on the bottom of the ocean and go, is this even the right ocean?
Yeah. Oh, that's very metaphysical, very deep. So do get in touch with us. Sign up to the mailing list. We'll send you those templates. Happy to do so, because if that helps you start your journey of transformation, that's what we're here to do. Now, our business is really in that space of helping you supercharge your sales. And we talk about lots of different things with our clients through our mentoring, through our online academy, about all the elements you need to make that happen. Because at the end of the day, we all need sales to grow. So even when people come to see us, they go, I really want to get myself out there. The reality of that is, what they're really saying is, I need sales and I need them immediately. So through this podcast, we're going to share some ideas of the different things that you need to consider to supercharge your sales and help you achieve the growth, the business or the lifestyle that you really want to achieve. It's not just marketing. In fact, Pete and I hate the term marketing. We, in fact, call ourselves accidental marketers. We were musicians, performers. Pete comes from IT. Like I said, I was a magician. I've worked in TV shopping. And we both had to learn marketing to achieve success. We're your average Joe Blogs like everybody else who never went to uni to get a marketing degree. We had to learn by doing. And if that resonates with you, then you are our people. So Pete, to finish up, that's the sum total of today's hard sell. I don't have to sell anything at the end of the day. You know, if people want help and they want to start their journey with us, they want to get clarity, they know where to come. WeDoFamous.com. Pete, what's your final thoughts? Because today we're starting with that important concept of if it's not working, what are you ready to change? What's your final takeaway for people?
Well, I guess you're really basically just summing up my final takeaway.
Oh, right, sorry.
That is literally my final takeaway, really, is, don't be afraid of taking a look and going, yeah, am I actually on the right track? Or, in fact, actually, don't be afraid of asking somebody else. Ask your accountant.
Point.
We had a good chat with our accountant the other day. He threw some numbers around for us to show us, some direction. And you know what? It's smart. Your numbers don't lie. And so if you've got no numbers, then listen to the numbers. They're trying to tell you something. Always start with your numbers. Start with a spreadsheet. Seriously, if you can't do spreadsheets, just start with jotting them down. You've got to know your margins. You've got to know your effort versus return. You've got to know it. You should be able to kick you awake in the middle of the night, and you should be able to tell me exactly how much profit you make from the time you spend. So if you're spending all week doing something and you're really, really busy, and you get to the end of the week and you haven't sent an invoice out,
you got to question what's going on there.
You've got to question what you and be honest with yourself and just go, hey, why are my billable hours not up? I'm always busy.
Yeah.
I'm running around, I'm doing stuff for people, but I haven't sent enough invoices.
Yeah.
So, that's my final takeaway is do your numbers, be honest with your numbers.
I love that.
Listen to them.
I love that, Pete. Yep. And for anybody who is like me, who is terrified of spreadsheets, my brain doesn't actually work like that. I'm a non-linear thinker. I'm better with mind maps than I am with anything linear. If that sounds like you, talk to someone who gets it and get them to explain, like Pete can do about servers and coding. Get them to explain or translate from their world and understanding into real people speak. Because when our accountant this week actually talked to us and said, this is what these numbers mean, and this is how your business is working, here's your areas of growth, here's what you've achieved, I saw a whole different world. Suddenly those numbers had meaning.
Yep.
And that's what I want people to take away from me.
Nice.
And this podcast. I'm all about making your message meaningful. If you don't understand something, ask.
Love it.
On that note, time for us to go. If you want to get those templates from us, please reach out, holler, sign up to our mailing list on WeDoFamous.com. Grateful to have you guys here with us. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to seeing you in real life or perhaps meeting with you online. I am Monique Bradley.
And I'm Pete Ward.
This was the Dog and Pony Show.
Woof, woof, nay, nay.